everyone. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I wanted to get on and ask this question because it's something that my spouse and I have talked about before, and then it came up in a group that I'm in, that this question, or this person had wrote looking for some advice. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read sort of the end part of it. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. I think I know some of my friends will come and share their beautiful stories of how they've dealt with this in their relationships. And I'll tell you sort of what I think about it all, and the conversations maybe that Donnie and I have had around it, and around other things, and I just would really love to hear your thoughts. So this is in regards to I'm assuming hetero woman with a man who she suspects is either bi or homosexual. Okay, so she says, every day without fail, he mentions having sex with men. I've asked on many serious occasions if he's gay or bi. He said, yeah, but laughed after, so I'm confused. I'm really confused about it. It's getting me down. And so I asked some follow-up questions and sort of was trying to get her feelings of, like, well, what would that mean if he were to say yes and you had a serious conversation about it and he openly said, this is something I'd like to explore, how would you react to that? And she's like, it would be pretty much over. And I'm like, okay, so he's not really incentivized to be truthful with you then, if you've already made it clear that you would leave him if he were to actually seriously talk about this in a way that was mature and open and whatnot, that would cause him to lose his relationship with you. And here's the thing, we don't know whether he's bi or gay, but there's a part of him that's maybe not being fulfilled. He has some unmet needs, and it's really sad that they've reached a place, or they have this relationship dynamic where they can't openly talk about their sexual desires, and in a way that could maybe be collaborative, right? So my thought would be, if Donnie were to come to me and say, hey, I have these things that I've been really thinking about for a long time, and I've wanted to explore them, but I just didn't know how, and now I feel like maybe this is a good time for me, like, whatever, like, I would ask some questions, right? I would want to know more about what are his needs actually, like, what does he really need? Is he looking for more physical sensation that he feels like he could only get from being with another man? Because that's fixable, right? I mean, not completely and entirely, but like some of that is, there's some flexibility in that, right? So like, like it, and if they're wanting to be with that male energy, obviously I can't provide that. So then it would be, a discussion around, well, what would that look like? And what would be the parameters around that? Or what sort of boundaries would we have in place that would allow him to explore those things? And vice versa, if I were to express that to him of wanting to explore being with another woman, or, you know what I mean? Like, so that would, there's different dynamics at play. I think it would be much easier for me to have that conversation in the sense that there are ways that if it was just about meeting some certain physical needs or exploring some different sensations, then, that's something that we could do as a couple, that wouldn't necessarily mean opening up our relationship, right? So there's a lot that they would have to consider, given, the answers that the person gives. So I think it's really sad that her response is, either way, I'm not feeling secure in my relationship, and we don't have the kind of communication that would be needed to work through this, right? Because it sounds like he's trying to have the conversation, but he doesn't quite know how to do it, and so it's very awkward, and it seems very kind of immature. That's just my view based on what I'm reading from not only that first post, but also some other things that she's said as we've gone back and forth and conversed. So if I were to say to Donnie, like if we were to kind of be talking, or if in conversations, like if I were to bring that up to Donnie and I said, how would you feel if, and we've had these conversations, because I mean, I don't talk to him about my clients, my one-on-one clients. I usually will talk to him about things that I read in social media and sort of what the what the feel is, what the vibe is, like what I'm reading and sensing. And so the thing is that you have to remember too that what you're reading on social media is on the one hand just a snapshot of that person's perspective, but on the other hand, on a broader sense, there could be lots and lots of couples out there grappling with these questions, right? And not just in regards to, understanding sexuality more and the fluidity and recognizing the gender fluidity that I think, we're just really, for some of us, just starting to really understand, right? Like, so, I mean, I'm thankful for having children who have kind of kept me, like relevant or like knowledgeable, and then has helped me to sort of know what questions to ask, right? So I think, it's come up in conversation between Donnie and I of, well, what would you say if I came to you and I have a kink or a fetish that I would like to pursue, and their response was, I have no interest in that. I don't want to participate in that at all. That would turn me off. Then what would your feelings be around me getting those needs met elsewhere? And you know what I mean? And like, so we've talked about these things because I've been reading about the blueprints, the erotic blueprints, and sort of exploring. We've been, we've always had an open conversation around, what are you into? What are you fantasizing about? What turns you on, right? So, of course, I'm going to ask, right? And I think what would be really helpful for a lot of couples is, and I recommend this to everyone, go to Dr. Emily Morris's website and download the yes, no, maybe list and go through it with your partner. Each of you get a copy and then go through it yourself and then start comparing answers. And I think it would be really helpful to open up that conversation, because for a lot of people this feels really uncomfortable to talk about. So the things that I'm discussing here in this video, for a lot of people, it's really, really uncomfortable. And for her, it was really, really uncomfortable to consider even the possibility of exploring different options. And that could just be due to a lack of knowledge. Like maybe she's not even aware of all of the options out there, right? So, my first advice to any couple that this is coming up for, like, get on some of these websites that sell adult toys, buy some lube, and, use the yes, no, maybe list, and start exploring with each other, right? Maybe get some reading material to give you some ideas of how to do these things safely, because porn is not an education site. It is all about visual stimulation and releasing of endorphins, but it's not a resource for education. So get some educational tools, right? There are some great books. I talk about them a lot. Smart Sex, by Dr. Emily Morse. Jaya's book, Your Blueprint for Pleasure. Red Hot Touch, which I think is also Jaya. She Comes First. Esther Perel's book, Mating in Captivity. Those are just off the top of my head, the ones that I can think of, to explore, different kinds of relationships and how to meet each other's erotic needs. So that if you, especially with the blueprint one, I think that's really fascinating because it gives you language for discussing these things with your partner that maybe you were lacking, right? If you can go to your partner and say, I really relate to a lot of the stuff in the sensual blueprint, because there are times when I really want, that soft lighting. I want the candles. I want massage. I want music. I want it to be sensory, right? I want it to be all of that. And then I'm also really interested in the kink blueprint because I want to explore maybe sub-dom roles or role playing and that sort of thing, or maybe you want to explore some different types of sensation, right? So there's different ways that you can, and then maybe there's times when you're like, well, but then there's other times when the energetic in me is turned on by the foreplay that we do long before the bedroom even happens, like that conversation that we're having throughout the week as it leads up to that day or in between times, right? Like just to say, maybe if it's, I don't know, maybe it's texting each other, maybe it's leaving each other little notes, maybe it's whispering something in each other's ear, maybe it's engaging in other activities that bring you closer, like Donnie and I are dancing again. So there's different things that you can do that build that energetic energy and really turn on that erotic blueprint that you can be doing in between, and then of course during as well, right? But so you can work with each of the blueprints if you have the language to really discuss that. Like, I like these things about this blueprint, and I like that thing about that blueprint, and then what do you like and what are you into? And you're having these conversations before and during and after, right? So that you have that language, and I think that's really important. So if this couple really wanted to stay together and be monogamous, they could totally do that if they were willing to have conversations about how could I get some of these needs met that might be just the right amount of safety, because they create a container in the relationship, and the erotic and the newness and the excitement of that could be enough, right? So that maybe there would be always a part of them that longed to be with a same-sex partner in a way, but that enough of them felt fulfilled within their current relationship that maybe it didn't warrant the risk for them in their minds, right? That could be a consideration, or they could consider opening up the relationship in a way that felt very consensual, and that there was strong boundaries and lots of communication. But at this point where they are, and I'm not saying they can't get there, I'm just getting the sense that where they are right now, they're not even anywhere close to that. I get the feeling that the minute he says, no, I really am, and I really want to, she's gone. And that's fair. That's totally fair. I get that. Maybe for whatever reason, she's not willing to explore these things in any kind of way, and that's her prerogative. But I think that they should just both be open with that then. She should just be open with the fact that, look, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't feel safe. I don't feel like the relationship feels solid. And and I'm not feeling like my needs are getting met. So I'm going to go elsewhere to find someone who will meet these needs. And then, then maybe they're both free to go find what they want. So there's lots of different ways this could play out. But I think if they were really being true to themselves with open communication, one way or another, that they could work this out so that everyone could be happy. Whatever that looks like. And whatever it looks like is perfectly fine, as long as it's based on their authenticity, right? Their truth. And if both people are being authentic and true, then it plays out the way it plays out. And I think, So I just wanted to talk about this because I'm curious. Because it does, we talk about it within our relationship. I see it in clients who are grappling with various things within their relationship around their sexuality and their sexual relationship, as well as like relationship burnout and all of that stuff. And it's also tied together, and there's more to this story, I think, than just that post, obviously, because we can't see all of the dynamics at play in their relationship. There could be other ways in which she feels unsafe, or that their relationship is rocky, and this is just another indication. But who knows? I'm curious. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and feel free to comment below. Take care. Namaste.